This attorney, District Attorney Bragg, received over $1 million in campaign donations from George Soros so that he could outspend his opponents and win the election for District Attorney. He's hardly independent.
No, and he actually apparently has reduced 52% of felony charges to misdemeanors as the crime rate has gone up noticeably in New York. And the one misdemeanor he wants to turn into a felony is former President Trump's charge, which, I mean, across the political spectrum, legal people are saying there's just no there here. There's no way to turn this into a felony. But he's doing it anyway, and he could well get a conviction because he knows that in Manhattan the percentage of Democrat voters is about 80%. So the chances of getting a jury to convict President Trump are pretty good.
Just come back.
It wouldn't matter what he charged.
Just come back to this bloke Bragg, though, the district attorney, and you have written that he proceeded to adopt the core tenets of Black Lives Matter movement, and as you just said, treat violent crimes as social justice issues. Now, I made the point earlier. Last year, he reduced over half of all felony charges to misdemeanors. So violent crime and murder rates, and you just said that in New York City, have massively increased. You cite the case, don't you, of a man with this is the kind of bloke we're dealing with here, Bragg, a man with 36 prior convictions who robbed a drugstore at knife point, but had his grand larceny and theft charge reduced to a misdemeanor, later assaulted a woman on the street. That's the district attorney.
Well, when you see the world through the prism of, the social justice mob and identity politics, then you just sort of lump people into groups, and one group is oppressed and the other group is the oppressor. And so you really don't think that anybody in the oppressed group can do anything that warrants prosecution. And that's sort of the way that's the view they bring to the world. So you're seeing it across all the big American U.S. cities, Miami possibly accepted. The crime rate's going up because the kind of people who have run to be district attorneys don't really want to prosecute anyone if they fall into some victim group or other.
And yet you hear this bloke resurrecting, going back 7 years ago. God knows where the statute of limitations finish. But as you've said, and I made the point before with Peggy, the Department of Justice and the federal government 5 years ago looked at the very same facts and refused to prosecute. I mean, you make the very serious point, and I quote you, Professor James Allan said, "In no democracy do things work out well when the justice system is politicised and political opponents are targeted and charged. To say it is third world stuff is to be unkind to the third world." James.
Well, it's been 240 years in the U.S., and they've never used the criminal justice system against a political opponent. I mean, they could have done it to Hillary Clinton, who used her personal email servers. They could have done it to Bill Clinton, who was paying off women who were accusing him of rape, which is not what is happening with Donald Trump. He just didn't want anyone to know that he'd had a sexual relationship with this porn star. The statute of limitations has run out for the misdemeanor, and it only becomes a felony if the first felony can cite a second felony. So it's a bookkeeping offense related to campaign finance laws. It's not clear it's an offense at all because he used his own money. So it's not clear how it's a campaign finance offense. But if it is, it's a misdemeanor, and the statute of limitations has run out on that. So to raise it to a felony, you have to link the bookkeeping offense to some other felony, and he never does that.
No.
He just leaves that hanging. And so if you look at someone like Jonathan Turley, who's a Democrat, or Dershowitz. These are Democrats. They're lifelong Democrat voters. They say these are palpably laughable criminal charges. Now, it's true that Donald Trump makes a lot of people in the U.S. and here just lose their minds. They lose all sort of sane ability to pass judgment. And so there's a lot of them that they don't really care if it's just a made-up charge as long as you convict Trump. And so it's not at all clear what's going to happen as this moves forward. I think it sort of helps Trump, turns him into a martyr.